What's up, guys? Adam and Jordan here to bring you this week's fishing report. We had a nice little warm-up this week, so we should have some good action going into the weekend here. Rock fishing has been sort of a similar story the last couple weeks. Some guys are finding the fish a little bit more shallow than they have been recently. That might have to do with the warmer weather. They're just following the bait up shallow. And some areas you can go and target those big migratory rockfish. Definitely in the southern portion of the bay right now, the southern portion of Maryland waters in the bay right now. They're starting to make their way up the rivers a little bit, but the mousier rivers right now are where a lot of people are catching them. A couple bird shows now and again, but the further we get into winter, the less and less you're going to see those bird shows. So look on your electronics, look for bait, and the fish should be close by. If you want to go target resident fish, you should have some luck, like at the mouth of the Patapsco, Love Point, certainly the power plant as well. You might even find some migratory ones at the power plant there as far as rockfish goes. So as far as things that people are throwing for rockfish out there right now, both the migratories and the residents, what have you heard, Jordan?
So what we've been using out there has been just your traditional paddle tail style baits, straight tail baits. The 6-inch profile from Z-Man, the diesel minnow, has been really producing, and I know a lot of guys here have been throwing that recently. And also a different profile that I've been using is the curly tail streaks. It's kind of been different, but for those fish on the bottom, it's been really good and good at triggering bites because the water temps kind of cooled off a little bit, so they're getting a little bit more sluggish at the moment. So yeah. In terms of some other stuff we've got going on in the bay right now, you've got catfish at some of the mousier rivers and along some of the channel edges. It's cold, so they're going to be stacked up pretty close to each other in those deep holes. So when you find one, you'll likely find more than one. Just a regular old bottom rig, fish finder rig. You do top bottom rig, whatever it is, anything that you can get to hold bottom and put some cut bait on, like any sort of cut fish. Or any of the other special catfish recipes that you guys out there might have. White perch is another thing we've got going on in the bay right now. Again, they're going to be in those deep holes, sort of stacked up with each other. You can, same sort of thing, drop down a sabiki rig with some bloodworms, grass shrimp, and you might get some bites doing that. As far as some freshwater stuff goes, Jordan, you want to talk a little bit about largemouth and smallmouth this time of year? Yeah, so I'll kind of start out with some of the tidal largemouth fishing. It's kind of, you're going to have to slow down your presentations, throw some stuff that's going to be on the bottom, and then also if you move over to like pond fishing for those same largemouth, you're going to need to, what I like to do is up my size of the bait that I'm throwing. So I like to throw big glide baits. It kind of triggers a lot of big bites this time of year, and also you have the ability to slow that presentation down to kind of imitate the bait and what they're doing right now, because everything's kind of slowing down as those water temps in those ponds, if they're not frozen over. But after this week, it should all kind of warm up and they should get a little bit more active. And then smallmouth wise, and if you're fishing any of the rivers, you're really going to have to slow down, throw your Ned rigs. You can still try an A-rig if you can find open water where there's fish still out there swimming around. But a lot of times, I know on the Susquehanna above the Conowingo, when it kind of freezes over on the side of the bank, just throwing a Ned rig down that ice line has really been producing some big fish this time of year.
Yeah, so that's what we got going on in terms of bass. In terms of pickerel, I know a lot of you guys are going to start setting your sights on pickerel as these water temperatures continue to drop and those rockfish start to get a little bit of lockjaw. Those pickerel, you can find them in some of your tidal rivers, the Pocomoke, the Magathie, the Patapsco, the Severn. You can find them in your eastern shore mill ponds. You can find them in some of our reservoirs. And they are, going to remain relatively active throughout the winter. A really good way to target them is like a little micro jig with a minnow on the back, or you can do like a minnow underneath of a bobber. Definitely want to slow down your presentation a little bit, so like something like a jerk bait, glide bait would be really good. Even a paddle tail just on a super light jig head, so you can bring it in slowly without dragging the bottom. And structure you want to target for pickerel, wood structure, docks, any like transition points where you have structure that goes to deeper water.
Dead grass too is another really, especially this time of year, it produces a lot of really good sized pickerel.
Yep, absolutely. And then as far as panfish goes, you want to talk a little bit about that? Some crappie, some yellow perch?
Yeah, so the panfish fishing this time of year is really good. So you're going to have to obviously throw smaller presentations. And I know a lot of guys now have actually been using live scope, and I've been talking to a lot of them, and they've been doing really good down on the Pocomoke. catching some really nice sized crappie. So yeah, just small crappie jigs, anything like that's going to produce some fish this time of year.
Yeah, and in terms of yellow perch, they are not in those creeks yet. We are not in the yellow perch run quite yet. It's going to be a little bit of time before they show up in those creeks, but in some of your deeper holes, like up on the Susquehanna Flats, I know some guys have been picking off some yellow perch there. As far as some other freshwater stuff goes, trout should be biting all winter long, provided your streams and things don't freeze over. Again, running theme, slow down your presentation, do like a trout magnet under a bobber, do a jerk bait. If, you know, you're fly fishing, look to do some indicator fishing, just slow it down. That's really going to be the key for this time of year. You can find those trout in western and northern Maryland. And then as far as things go on the coast, really what everyone's talking about right now is bluefin. They are moving further and further down the coast. A lot of guys are launching out of Virginia right now. Guys throwing spinning gear have been using smaller baits, and it's just a matter of finding those fish and getting a bait in their face. But they won't always bite, so, you know. But that's a good, cool thing to go do and a cool species to chase this time of year. As far as some other stuff going on the coast, wreck fishing for flounder and tog has still been pretty decent. You want to talk a little bit about that, Jordan?
Yeah, so just dropping your tog rigs and tog jigs down there. I know a lot of guys have been, green crabs have been pretty popular this winter, and we actually have some in at the store, so they've been selling pretty good, and a lot of people have been out there catching some good-sized fish.
Yeah. So that's about what's going on right now, guys. If you got any questions, feel free to come into the store and ask us, or call, send us a message, anything like that. But that about does it for this week's fishing report, and we'll see you next time.